here today on May 10th, 2015 to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Uncle Joe, Gaiko, who was killed in World War II on Okinawa. This is a picture of Uncle Joe, and we want to have a little ceremony to honor his memory in front of the flagpole that was erected by Uncle Louie and Jim Benson and Sam Frank. And we have the flag today at half-mast, and this was all came about from a discussion with a neighbor that hikes up here quite a bit, Greg Hughes, and Greg was the one that suggested this and did a little research, and he's here to tell you a little bit about the war that Uncle Joe was killed in.
So I guess I started this ball rolling, or Louis did many years ago, but when I saw this plaque this winter, it piqued my curiosity about Joseph Gaiko, and we had lots of cold days this winter to sit in front of the computer and look up about anything you wanted to look up. So I did some research, and I learned that Corporal Joseph Gaiko served in the 22nd Infantry Regiment of the 6th Marine Division during World War II. And the 6th Marine Division was a very interesting division, actually. It never set foot on in the United States. It was formed and disbanded on the Pacific Theater. It was created on Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands in September of 1944. And although it was a new division, the components of the division were anything but new. The majority of the infantry battalions had fought in at least one island battle. Most of them had fought in at least 2 island battles. The 22nd Infantry Regiment, where Corporal Gaiko was a member, they had fought in the invasion of Guam. And the reason they had all these battle-hardened Marines get together was for the purpose of invading Okinawa specifically. And Okinawa had a lot of significance. It was on the very southern tip of Japan. It was the first time the United States actually invaded Japanese soil. It was the site of airports and harbors, a very, very strategic location. And if it was necessary to invade the island of Japan, we would have done so from the island of Okinawa. So that was its significance down the road for strategic purposes. Once the 6th Division did their training on the island of Guadalcanal, they landed on the island of Okinawa on April 1st, 1945. And the landing, to everybody's surprise, had little or no opposition, despite the fact that the Navy had sent in days of bombardments and what have you. There was no opposition on the landing. In fact, they landed unscathed. They then accomplished their mission of securing the northern half of the island, including an airport that was strategically very important. In late April, the 6th Division moved south to join the assault of a strong Japanese defensive line that had been constructed across the southern part of the island of Okinawa. And basically, the Japanese wanted to fight a war of attrition. They had put all their defenses inside these bunkers that were located on the hills, and they were honeycombed with caves and passageways, and some of them were even 2, 3, and 4 layers high. And they had well-registered mortar and artillery fire coming out of these bunkers, as well as machine guns that had interlocking fields of fire. So that was the specific obstacle that the Marines had to overcome. And a high price was paid for each yard gained against that defensive line. The 6th Marine Division had nearly 1,700 Marines killed in action and more than 7,400 wounded in action. The highest casualty rates were in the rifle companies, many of which were reduced to the level of an understrength platoon with non-commissioned officers commanding them. Yet these understrength units continued to fight. The Battle of Okinawa had some distinctive features to it. One, it was the last battle of the Second World War. It was one of the longest battles of the Second World War, and it was one of the costliest battles of the Second World War. In less than 3 months, there were 240,000 casualties on Okinawa, made up of Americans, Japanese, and Native Islanders. The civilians took a big toll on that battle also. At the end, the 6th Marine Division was decorated with a coveted Presidential Unit Citation for its heroism and superior performance during the Battle of Okinawa. Corporal Gaiko died with honor on May 10th, 1945, defending our freedoms, and he was awarded the Purple Heart. And I think it's fitting that 70 years after Corporal Gaiko's death, we're still remembering him, because this is exactly what Louis wanted to have happen. He put this flagpole here so that we would remember his brother and his brother's service to our country, and I think it's very fitting that we're doing this, and I think it would bring a smile to Louis' face too, and he would be very pleased we're carrying it on, and hopefully future Gaikos will carry it on also.
Yes, we will. Thank you very, very much, Greg.
That was nice. Yes, very nice.
Very, very nice. And a little personal story that my mom and dad told me as I grew up, that on May 10th, when Uncle Joe was killed, there was either 7 or 10 inches of snow in Bethel. And Grammy Gaiko looked out the back window where the rose trellis was and a white birch clump, and the snow broke part of the white birch tree, and she said uncho, which she called Uncle Joe, and she knew then that something happened, and that's the day he was killed. Thank you guys.